Welcome, everyone. I'm Marianne Levitsky with Workplace Health Without Borders, and it's just delightful to see you here today for the launch of WHWB's Noise course. The course was developed by the WHWB Healthcare Group, largely the inspiration of Dr. Tamer, who is here today, and you will get to meet in the course of this course, and we'll introduce the other tutors soon. So we had just been saying that you are all welcome to say hello in the chat and say what country you're in. And later we'll go into breakout groups where people can introduce themselves to smaller groups, because we're too large a group to all speak individually in the full group. So I am going to start some slides and give you an introduction to the course. And I'll be introducing the tutors, and I welcome any of the tutors to chime in when I forget something, or if you think of something that I've been overlooking. So 1 second, I will be sharing my screen. Oops. Okay, can everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so this is what we'll cover today. This is just an introductory session. We won't be really doing the course content in this section, but we do want to hear from you about what you're hoping to get from the course. So these are the things we want to cover today, and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. So first, I'd like to introduce our coordinators and tutors. The Workplace Health Without Borders is an all-volunteer organization. I will be telling you more about it soon. But as I said, first I'd like to introduce the people who've been planning this course and will be teaching it. So when I mention you, can you speak up? So probably you'll pop up on the speaker view if you say hello. So Miriam.
Hi, everyone.
You want to just say a word about yourself, Miriam, like where you are?
Okay, I am a doctor by profession, and I'm working as a researcher in East Carolina University right now in the United States. Good to see everyone, and I hope you learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. And Gary.
Morning, Gary Bangs. I'm with the University of Washington in Seattle. I'm an industrial hygienist.
Thanks so much, Gary. Dr. Tamer.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for showing interest and joining. My name is Dr. Tamer Khazragi. I'm an occupational medicine physician. I work in one of the FMCGs in Cairo. So pleased to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Chandra.
Yeah, hello, everyone. My name is Chandra Mutalik. I'm also a doctor, occupational physician, and working at Southampton in the United Kingdom.
Great, thank you. And another member of our team is Peter Baldwin, who is also an industrial hygienist. He works for the Health and Safety Executive in the UK. I don't think he can join us today. And I am Marianne Levitsky. I am a certified industrial hygienist. I am based in Toronto, Canada, whose skyline you can see behind me. And I was one of the founders of Workplace Health Without Borders. Wonderful to see all of you here today. So I just want to give you a little background about Workplace Health Without Borders, or WHWB. We're an international nonprofit. We were founded in 2011 to address global gaps in occupational health and safety knowledge, especially occupational hygiene. We are all volunteers. We do have some administrative services right now, but none of us are paid. All the work that you see that's gone into this course has been entirely volunteer. We have branches in the UK and the US and Australia. There is interest in starting a branch in Africa. So any of you in Africa, yeah, if you want to work on that, I think people would be glad to work with you. We do a lot of projects, and lately we've been also doing a lot of training as well. So we have a strategic framework which you can find on our website. Our vision is a world where workers, their families, and communities don't get sick because of their work. And one of the things we've learned, and we changed this vision a few years ago, is to to expand it and include families and communities, because one of the things we learned in doing this is that what's in the workplace does not stay in the workplace. It spills over to families and communities. So our mission is to prevent work-related disease around the world by sharing expertise, knowledge, and skills, which we hope to do here as well as in other places. Here are some examples of some of our projects. We have a very active committee that's working on brick kilns, especially silica exposure in brick kilns. We also have an extremely active committee that's looking at waste work all over the world, but especially active in Brazil. We had a project in Tanzania, and we have a person here who's been involved, Aristides Medard, that was looking at stone crushers in Tanzania. And we did a lot of work in India related to silica exposure among gemstone processors, especially agate. So we could tell you about that another time if you're interested, but I just wanted to mention some of our projects. We've been teaching a lot, and what do you know? There's a picture of Aristides right there. That is Aristides, who's in this course, who was helping in Tanzania in 2015 when we taught a course, the basic occupational hygiene course at Muhimbili University in Dar es Salaam. And Aristides was part of that course, and there he is showing his fellow students how to use the pumps. So we do appreciate that. And I was just saying it'd be great if he wants to offer similar help in this class, that would be terrific. So before the pandemic, we did a lot of in-person training. This is that course in Tanzania as well. This is a course we taught in Vietnam. This is a course we taught in India. We've also taught several places in Africa, Swaziland, South Africa, etc. Once the pandemic started, however, we stopped doing in-person courses. We might resume that now, but so far we have not. So since then, we've been doing courses similar to this current one, blending self-study with online tutorials. And the first one we did was called Basic Occupational Health and Safety Awareness. And we still have that one running if anybody wants to take it. But this is, the first one we've done on a specific topic. We've also been offering basic principles of occupational hygiene. We're just wrapping that up now to a group that involves Doctors Without Borders in Bangladesh. And that is a course we probably be interested in teaching again to a more general audience. We have a mentor program, and especially I want to mention it here because our healthcare group is just starting its own mentor program specifically for healthcare providers. And it pairs people who may not have a lot of colleagues around them who can mentor them and help them if they're in early stages of their careers. So people can communicate, say with hygienists, this gives an example of occupational hygienists, but we're going to do it now with healthcare providers. So you can talk to somebody who may have some experience in the areas that you're interested in, set up regular meetings with them electronically, and get some guidance on any issues you're dealing with in your work. So now we're going into talking a bit about this course, and fairly soon we will have a chance to hear from you in some breakout groups about what you would like to get out of this course. As I mentioned, this course is really the inspiration of Dr. Tamer Khazragui, who is co-chair of our healthcare group. And its purpose is an introduction to noise for professionals who work with workers exposed to noise. Now, this is an awareness level, so we want to caution that it's not really intended to qualify you to conduct audiometric testing or noise testing at the level of an industrial hygienist or audiologist. But we will cover some basics about noise surveys, noise monitoring, especially things you can do with instruments that may be available to you, like a smartphone. We'll get to that. So here are the topics we want to cover through this course. I won't read them all out, but next session will be the first really content session, and we'll be covering then the basics of noise, physics of sound, and hearing anatomy and physiology. And in the remaining 3 content sessions will be covering those other topics. And then we will have a wrap-up session where we'll hear from you about the evaluation, maybe cover any questions that you may still have, and where you can tell us what you thought you got out of it and what we should do in the future. So that's the game plan. We'll be having sessions like the same time in UTC or GMT time will be the same throughout the 6 weeks. It will change for those of us in the Western Hemisphere, I think the whole Western Hemisphere, because we will revert to daylight saving time in the middle of this, but I don't think it will affect all of you. But you should definitely check what your local time is, because it might change. So here are some of the things that we are hoping you get out of this course. And later, we're going to ask you what you think you would like to get out of it. So we're going to talk about why are we concerned about noise anyway? Why are we doing this? We'll talk about the physics of sound, effects of workplace noise, especially noise-induced hearing loss. We will talk about how noise is measured and assessed, how to control and reduce noise exposure, and what are the elements of hearing loss prevention program, including some basic information about medical surveillance and audiology. So just some background about this course, and I invite the tutors and coordinators to join in because they've been so involved in this planning. So you probably know we did send out an expression of interest form a while back, and over 200 students indicated that they are interested in the course. We didn't think we could really accommodate that many people in one session. So then we sent out a notice asking people to register for the course, and we had over 60 people register. And we're hoping, it turned out, we thought maybe we'd get 40 actually attending out of the 60, but we got more. So we're up to 38. We were expecting 47 actually accepted the invitation. So we may get some more people coming in. So the intent is to complete this over a 6-week period. As I mentioned, we'll have 4 actual tutorial sessions, 1.5 hours each, plus the introductory session, this one, and the wrap-up session. So the idea is, again, that it be self-study with really just covering in the tutorials some of the basics. That's the model we've been using. In some cases, we had the benefit of using an existing electronic learning course that students would take. We didn't have one for noise, but we had one for some of the other topics. And then they come to the session to sort of reinforce what they learned. But in this case, we are asking you to review information through a self-study process. And we'll be posting assignments for each week, 1 week in advance for each session. And it will include reading, videos that we can watch if we find good videos that cover the information, as well as some assignments like quizzes or exercises. So we are asking that you do all that before you come to the class, because these sessions are fairly short and we want them to be very interactive. So we don't want it to be all lecture. And if we use the whole time to just lecture at you, I don't think that's the best learning method. That it's only by you using the knowledge and interacting with us and with your fellow students that I think will reinforce your learning. So please do complete the assignments beforehand and do the reading. And if you find any of the reading difficult, anything you don't understand, that is great, because that's what we want you to come to the class for, to ask about and discuss. So after that last tutorial session, all those who attended, we'll say 5 out of the 6 sessions, will receive an online final exam. We have a pass mark of 70%, and those who pass and have attended at least 5 of the 6 sessions will receive a certificate. So I mentioned the tutorials. The tutorials will have some lecture format, a review with, in some cases, a quiz, questions for discussion, and breakout groups with discussion, questions, and exercises. So that's the plan for those tutorial sessions. We want to thank our partner organizations because they have contributed material that we will be using either in the assignments or the presentations. And they include the Occupational Hygiene Training Association. And this is another nonprofit organization that has been very involved in training and producing training modules and materials that then can be used to teach those courses. And this is not just for those of you who know about OHTA. This is not an OHTA noise course. They do have a noise course, and it's that manual that is in the classroom, the Google Classroom, and is available to you. But this will not lead to an OHTA certificate because that course was designed as a very intensive 5-day full-time course. And this is, as you can tell, is not that long and as intensive. So just so you're clear, we're using some of their material, but this is not an OHTA course. You will get a certificate from Workplace Health Without Borders. Echo Management is a consulting company in Toronto where I work. And so some of this material are from Echo. Echo is used for training in some of their programs. We also want to thank the Occupational Health Clinics for Ontario Workers, which is a nonprofit organization in Ontario, Canada, and they contributed some of the material as well. We are finding also that we will find other material that is available online that we think is useful for you, and we'll be assigning it. And if it's publicly available, we might not have gotten permission from them in advance because it's public. But just so you know that I feel like in some ways we're curators in that there's a lot of noise material out there readily available. And I think what we can contribute is that we curate it for you. We look at it, we make sure it's accurate, we make sure it's at the right level, not too technical and not too basic. In fact, I just spent a couple of hours last night trying to do just that, to find some resource material that I thought was at just the right level and was accurate. And I did find it. It was from WorkSafe, British Columbia. So I will be assigning that in a subsequent tutorial. But just so you know, we're using material from other organizations that we feel is credible, but a lot of work has gone into selecting the right material and making sure it's the best that we can suggest that you review. So here's our expectations of students. We do ask that you attend at least 5, hopefully you'll attend all the sessions, but we understand things happen. So aim to attend at least 5 of the 6 weekly sessions. Please participate in the discussions, either in the large group or in the breakout group. Complete the assignments prior to attending the weekly tutorials. And as I said, some of it might be difficult. And, you know, I was looking at the OHTA student manual and a lot of it is very technical. If you don't understand it all, that's fine. As I say, just come and ask for an explanation. Please do be on time for the sessions and of course, you know, participate in a respectful manner in the discussions. So here's a few tips about Google Classroom. Now, I think everybody has already joined Google Classroom, so we don't have to tell you how to do that. But if you had any trouble, if you didn't get joined yet, you should have gotten an invitation and you can click join. I know we had problems with some people who could not join except on a Gmail address. It is a Google product. I hope we've sorted all that out. If you're still having problems, please email us or use the WhatsApp group to alert our coordinators that you are having a problem. But I hope everybody has already done that because I've noticed a lot of you, and thank you, have been responding in Google Classroom. Yeah, you can accept from your smartphone as well. And here, when you go into the Google Classroom, you'll see at the top for this is using an example of a different class, but yours will say noise class. I forget exactly what it says. But at the top, you will see that it says stream, classwork, and people. So if we want to announce something to you, like give you an assignment, it will show up in Stream. And then it will link to something in classwork. There will be an assignment. So for example, we have just prepared an assignment for next week's class, and we will be sending that out right after this class. So you should be getting an announcement that says, this is the assignment for next week. And it should all be in Google Classroom. We will also send a link through WhatsApp, because I know a lot of you like to use WhatsApp. So we hope all that's going to be understandable. If you have any problems, that's why we're here, and you can talk to our coordinator through email or through WhatsApp or Google Classroom for that matter. So there's 3 ways of communicating with you. I hope at least one of them will work for you. So as it says, clicking on the Classroom tab shows the learning material and the assignments, and we'll be putting in a due date. I would set the due time is 1 hour. As long as you complete the work before the next class, I think that will be okay. In some cases, we may say, if there's, say, what we call a knowledge check, we may be reviewing the results within the class. So it would be very good if you have those, your answers for that with you when you attend the class. And then there's also course material. We'll provide some instructions linked to the learning material. Like, as you probably notice, I put the OHTA student manual in that course material. Whenever we have any additional material, it will show up there, and it will all be in, it goes into a Google Drive folder that is specific to this class. So I think you already got an email inviting you to join a WhatsApp group, and thank you to all of you who did accept that invitation. It's not mandatory you accept that invitation, but we do ask that it would be mandatory you accept Google Classroom. But WhatsApp is just a supplementary way of communicating with you, and where you can communicate with each other. So we do encourage you to become a network and a group, and use this WhatsApp group to communicate with each other. Maybe some of you can help other classmates problem solve, or maybe you will meet people who are in your area, either your professional area or your geographical area. So please do use it. One thing that I hope people would do, I notice a lot of you did it already, is when you joined through the link, we only saw your phone numbers, and we don't know who you are unless you change it to your name. So if you need any help with that, please ask. But I noticed that a number of you did get help from each other in changing your name, so we can see in the WhatsApp group who you are. And then if you're here, obviously you know this. We will be meeting weekly on Zoom. You got the invitation. All of the Zoom links will be the same. We've set it up to be a recurring meeting. It's ideal if you can be on a laptop and in a quiet environment. I do recognize that's not possible for everybody. But it generally is easier to join if you are on a laptop. But we know, many people may be joining on their phones as well. And as Dr. Tamer said, if you must join while you're driving, do be careful. Safety comes first. So ideally, you would not be participating while you're driving. But I know that does happen with some people. We are asking that you not share the links, because I mentioned we had so many people interested in the class. And, we'd sort of like to go in the order of which people registered. So I don't think any of you have done that. So just don't share the links with other people who are not registered. Okay, and soon we'll be going into some breakout groups. I'm going to stop the slides shortly so we can see if any of the tutors and coordinators want to chime in, or if any of you have any questions. But when we set up the breakout groups, we'll be setting up 4 of them. So they're 40, that's perfect, 10 people in a group. And that includes the coordinators, tutors. And so we'll give you a chance to talk. You can talk now if you want, if you have any questions, but to chat a little bit more. So you can introduce yourselves, your name, where you work, what you do, what your country you live in,
Marianne?
get to know each other. Yes.
There's a
Yes,
question
Marian.
about
Oh,
what,
is there? Sorry, I didn't see it because I'm,
a-
okay, I'll
and,
just finish this and I'll stop the slide so I can see everyone. Okay, thank you.
and they are
Um,
asking about WhatsApp group. Is it created or not? So it's already there, and the link should be in their emails. And if somebody is not, so they should tell us.
Is it possible for us to put the link in the chat today in case anybody didn't get it, and then they could just join from that? Is that something you could do, Miriam?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, I will stop this this slides shortly so I can see people and see if there's any questions. But in the breakout groups, besides introductions, we would like if you can talk about what you want to get out of the course and how you plan to use the knowledge in the course. And we're hoping that you will list those things. What you could do is have somebody paste the points in the chat, but then copy the chat because otherwise we'll lose it. So I'll ask the tutors coordinators who are in the breakout groups, copy the chat so we can then bring it back to the main group so we won't lose all that great information. So that's what we'd like to do today in the breakout groups, as well as answer any questions you might have. So I am going to stop sharing so I can see you and see the chat. And first ask if there are any coordinators or tutors who have anything to add. Did I miss anything?
You didn't miss you. You said it very well. Thank you very much, Marianne, and a lovely introduction. With one thing I would like to just remind the audience, please aim at networking. This will be one of the best things you can actually walk out of the course with, along with the material that is being shared. You might think that just being here in the course does add value. It does add a great deal of value, but the networking adds more value as well, because you can exchange knowledge. You might do like I did, for example, which is establish a network of similar interested professionals within my country. And that can actually go a long way to help you within your work and job and even face new and innovative challenges. So focus on that. Also, before we go on to the breakout rooms, please think between yourself, what are you aiming to walk out of this course with? What are the few things? I'm not going to say one. Be greedy. What are a few things you would wish to walk out of this course with? Maybe we can satisfy all of them, maybe not, but at least have that in mind. I hope I've addressed that well. Anybody else from the tutors wish to add anything?
So I see that Miriam put the WhatsApp group link in the chat. So anyone who has not yet joined that group, if you're on WhatsApp, please do join from that link. Thanks.
I think there was a question within the group, within the chat, that one person could not join the Google Classroom. She was being asked a code or something.
Okay. Oh, a code. Okay, who was that person?
I'm trying, Dr. Priya.
Yeah. Okay. Can whoever had problems with that, could you email the WHWB tutors at gmail.com? We'll try to help you. I think everybody has that, should have that email address, but yeah, Dr. Priya. Okay, yes, please do that. And we'll I'll put the email address for our training, which is whwbtutors@gmail.com. In the chat, I think maybe you will have that, but if you don't, please copy that address because that's the address we'll be sending class material from. And if you're having problems getting onto Google Classroom, please do email us. Okay. One thing I should tell, if people don't know, you don't have to just put questions in the chat. You can ask them verbally, and you can raise, if you have a question, you could raise your digital hand by clicking reactions at the bottom of the, at least on my screen, that's what it is a button that says reactions. And if you click that, you see there's a raise hand icon, like I'm just doing it right now. And so you can raise your hand to ask a question. Or there are not so many people here today that you can't just unmute. You can unmute and just ask a question if you have one. Does anybody have a question? Okay, one other thing I would ask is when you log in, it's actually best if you use the same login address as you use for Google Classroom. But if you can't do that, that's okay, we'll figure it out. But please change your name. If your Zoom name says something like iPad, sometimes we get that, or something that doesn't identify you, please change your name to your actual name, because that's how we'll know the class attendance, okay? If it just says iPod, we're not gonna know who you are. And then we won't know if you've attended, okay? So just asking to do that. I see there's somebody on here, it's HMTHUY. I don't know if that is your name, but if it's not, maybe you could change it. Okay, are there any questions? Okay, so I actually running a bit, ahead of ourselves, so that's good. We might finish this class early today, but I am going to set up 4 breakout groups. We would have, I think, about 15 to 20 minutes in the group. If you need more time, we have time for that. So I can check in and see if people want more time or less time. But I think people know what we've asked you to do in the groups, and we will assign one tutor or coordinator to each group. So hopefully they might help. And we hope you'll all have a chance to talk and introduce yourselves and discuss. It will take me a minute or so to, I'm going to create the rooms. You should get something pop up that says an invitation to join a group. So please do accept that invitation. And just a note to the coordinators, I'm having you assigned randomly to the groups, but I will move you around to make sure there's a co-host in each group. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So if you just give me a minute, I'm just checking that to see we don't have more than one coordinator in a group. And we have one, I'll have to move somebody into, okay, this isn't good. I need to rearrange this. So you give me a minute. I'd like to say talk amongst yourselves, but I know that's a little bit unrealistic. I think we're good.
Super.
Okay, I am now going to open all rooms, and as somebody can send me a message. Oh, wait a minute, there are enough. Okay, you can send me a message. I think you can message me from the group, or you can come back to the main group if you have something you want to say to me. When I go to close the rooms, it will give you a 1-minute warning. So it won't cut you off in mid-sentence. It will give you a 1-minute warning that I'm going to close the groups. I might pop into a group, but I'm not assigned to a group. So if any of the tutors, coordinators want to pop up and pop in and tell me something that I should know, please do that. So now I'm going to open the rooms. Thank you.
Shall we pause the recording as well?
I'll have to pause the recording, correct? Yes, thank you, because it won't record in the groups.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Starting the recording of the main group again. Welcome back, everyone. So I hope you captured important points from your discussion. I really look forward to hearing them, and I think probably the people in the different groups will be interested in hearing about your group. So can we ask for maybe some main points from what you learned in your groups and what you found out about what people want to get out of the course? Before I proceed with that question, there was another question in the chat. Will these, I think, I missed that question. Will we always be in the same breakout groups? No, it is random. And it's a long story with Zoom breakout groups, but generally the easiest way to set them up is have it be completely random. But then the host can move people between groups, but that's a very time-consuming process. So I think it's easiest if we make it random, and then you will have opportunities, hopefully at one point, to meet everybody in our class. So that's great. So can I ask that somebody from each group, and we didn't name the groups, but they were numbered.
Yeah.
So
Can I
hopefully
ask? May I ask one of the participants to summarize rather than the co-hosts? How about that?
That would be excellent. Thank
So,
you.
Somebody from group 3, if somebody would like to proceed just with a summary, and I will add if anything I feel is important that was missed.
Okay, is there anyone else from group 3, the group that Dr. Tamer was in, that wants to share what you heard and any other observations you had about your group? Anybody? And if you could put it in the chat, that would be great, so we can keep it. But we are recording it. So.
I'll step in. Sorry to put you under the gun, but I'll step in to assist you. So don't feel shy.
Is there anyone from your group?
Anybody with
Tamer, that you might volunteer? You might ask them to.
Shall I put a spotlight on Tahina? Shall I?
In our group, I think that the most of our team are from the public occupational, like doctors.
Yes.
And also the people from the public sectors that they want to learn the experience from the other country to compare of the other country. And also the people who work to know exactly about the occupational hygiene. There is someone from the South Africa who really experienced on the mental health, but no, he changed to the occupational hygiene sectors, and he want to have more skill on that. And like me, the fact that I don't have a superintendent because I'm working on the mining company, so I really need this training to guide me for my report, for my assessment on everything. So I think that we really have mixed of group, and we are really happy to be part of that. And thank you for you to give us this opportunity to learn and to have more skills. Thank you.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Lovely summary, and definitely appreciate your contribution and your bravery for the summary and for joining. And one thing I wish to as well talk more about, as well as my colleagues, a number of us are part of the WHWB healthcare group. So along the second half of the course, so that we give you time to focus on the studies, we will be briefing you about what the healthcare group is in case you wish to join.
Thank you. Okay, how about group 1? Does anybody, I don't know which of those who was in group 1, does anybody want to talk about what happened in group 1?
So can I choose one of them? I would want Jennifer to summarize it.
Jennifer, are you willing to summarize the discussion in group 1?
Yeah, it was basically just about making sure we all are aware of the importance of occupational health and safety and noise, and making sure that we all gain knowledge on things like surveillance, audiometry. I personally am new into the field of occupational health and safety, so my takeaway from this is basically just getting my feet wet and kind of making sure I can provide the resources, the education to others, and make sure my job role is covered. Is that pretty much, does that fit with everybody? Yeah?
Yeah, and one of the things that I I want to mention is everyone is so diverse, and some of them are masters in their own field also. So they're gaining extra knowledge to incorporate in their field, and that's amazing to see. I think that's amazing.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else from group one want to add anything to that? Great. So what about group two? Anyone from group two want to speak up?
It was me who was in that group, so I don't want to put someone on spot, but I'm sure one of them can summarize what was discussed.
Okay, any volunteer from group two who can tell us what was discussed?
Hello.
Go ahead, Debbie.
Okay. So basically, it was really interesting to see how diverse the group was, and also that the passion about improving each place of work's noise exposure. So there is also that the desire of improving existing knowledge on noise, the assessment methodologies, and also workplace control measures. I think more of us also are interested in networking, like linking up with other professionals, with other colleagues around the world.
Great, thank you. And just in terms of networking, when we get to the point where Dr. Tamer will tell you about the healthcare group, there is a mentoring program starting with the healthcare group. And we're hoping it will be more like group mentoring. So there will be opportunities for networking through those groups. So maybe you can get involved with that. That's terrific.
Okay. Doctor, I
Thank
don't know if I forgot anything. I think other members can step in as well. Dr. Chandra.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. You have summarized it quite well. It was a diverse group of people from different parts of the world. Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Mali, Peru, and also different professions, hygienists, doctors, health and safety. I think he has already covered what everyone wants out of the course. One thing probably to add is one of the participants actually mentioned about a wider health and well-being impact of noise, and not just the hearing and hearing loss related aspects, so such as people can get tiredness, irritability with the noise exposure and so on. So they are interested in the wider well-being as well, and not just the noise-induced hearing loss.
Very good point. Excellent point. Very good. I'll have to add a mention of that next week when we talk about health effects. And group four, anybody from group four?
We had a great discussion. Does anybody want to chime in from the group that I was in? There were a good variety of different professions and one audiometry technician. So we should get someone
great.
correcting us if we make mistakes.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe that person who is the audiometry technician? Was that the
Maybe
person
they
who just
could-
put their hand up?
They could raise their hand.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not the audiometry technician, but I just wanted
Oh.
to chime in on behalf of group 4. But
Please.
yeah, so our group was also very diverse, like group 3. We had individuals from South Africa, Botswana, Vietnam, India, Zimbabwe, to just name a few places. A lot of the individuals are in the public sector. I heard a couple of people talk about the departments of occupational health and safety that they work in. Some of them have been within the OH&S space for a while, so they are looking for a refresher. And then we also had the audiometry technician that spoke and invited us to Vietnam. Some of the people wanted to also just broaden their knowledge. Like myself, I'm new within the occupational hygiene space. So for me, this is a learning curve just to get a bit more knowledge. I know you did say that it's not going to be as in-depth as the W courses, but it is something, and there's always an opportunity to learn. And they basically also wanted to network globally and just learn from others, like all the other groups had mentioned. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's such wonderful input. That's terrific. Thank you. Any other comments from any of the groups? Anything that we missed that you want to say?
They had already started networking before you closed us out. So
Oh,
yeah,
great.
in the
That's
chat. So I
terrific.
think people are trying to
Well,
say,
you know, if people want to network, I mean, we can keep the line open. Maybe not today, but in the future. You know, some people will have to leave. Maybe even the coordinators would have to leave, the tutors. But if there's nothing else scheduled on this Zoom platform, and you for that time, and you want to use it to network, we can keep the line open. So just let us know if you want to do that. And then also the WhatsApp group can be a good networking forum. So that's terrific. Now the audiometry technician, I'm wondering if when we get to that part, because at one point we wanted to have an audiologist in this course as a tutor, and we didn't find one. So if you want to contribute when we get to that part of the class and just talk about audiometry and what you do, I think that would be very, very welcome. That would be terrific.
And don't feel pressured. We will speak with you because we amongst us we were having this discussion, and we're ready to actually moderate that part, so you can be part speaking about one or two technical bits. So don't feel under pressure at all.
Great. Yes. Okay. You know, one thing I did want to say, because I was looking ahead last night to a few sessions from now. And one thing I realized that I don't have information on is the standards for noise exposure in all the different countries and all your countries, because they are quite different. So if you can all, I'll actually probably make this part of an assignment, not for next week, but the following week. If you can look up what your own exposure standards are in your country, that would be very useful, because you're going to want to have that knowledge to help anyone in your country. So things like, you know, what is the 8-hour exposure limit for noise? Because in some places it's 85 decibels, some places it's 90. We don't know what it is in every single country in the world. So that will be important for you all to look up in your own countries. And if you have found people in this class who are in your country, maybe you can tap them for that knowledge. And if you learn something about your country, you can put that in the WhatsApp group or post it on the Google Classroom. So that would be very useful. Just wanted to mention that. I think we can probably wind up a bit early. If people want to stay and chat, as I said, we can keep the line open. So happy to do that if anybody tells me that that's what they want. We can stop the recording if you want. Sorry, go ahead, Tamer.
Yeah, perfect suggestion, Marianne, and thanks for that. We can't stop the recording now, as officially the first meeting has ended. Marianne, thank you so much, and the coordinators, thank you so much for the contribution. Team members as well, great participation, great speaking out, it's amazing. Please make best use of our gathering. Read through the material. They're not meant to be memorized. They're meant to be accessed, understood. Come fresh with questions, and please plan on being proactive. We do appreciate you joining from different time zones. So aim to actually come with questions if you do have them. Share them wherever it's suitable for you, and we will do our very best to make it worth your while and more.
Thank you, Tamer. That's great. So just wanted to remind you, we will be sending out the assignment for next week. We'll be sending it out very soon. I might make a few changes in the next little while, but we will be sending it out today. So look for it and try to complete it before the class next week. Are there any questions before we go? No? Okay. Well, we are going to stop the recording, and as I mentioned,